Hi everyone. So today I'm going to be talking to you about how you can use Nerdio to manage your AVD images and how you can automate that process. So you get over the manual input that's needed and you just make it as easy as possible, right? For those who I haven't met before, my name's Cremin. In case it's not obvious from t-shirt, hoodie, my Nerdio socks, I work for Nerdio. And for those who haven't heard of us before, Nerdio is a management platform for your AVD environment. So it can handle AVD 365, Intune, Azure Local. The idea is it's a one-stop shop for managing all of that. And that gives you quite a few different benefits. So there's three main things. We can help with reducing the run costs. We do optimization. We make sure you're only running machines when you need them. We can help with scaling limitations, improving resilience, so setting up DR, that kind of thing. But the one we're going to look at today is automating routine tasks, particularly as it relates to image management. So the way we do that is, well, it involves a couple of different things. I'll show you first of all how we manage this from a greenfield perspective. So you set up Nerdio in your Azure environment and you want to create a brand new Windows image, and then I'll show you how we can automate that process. It's worth bearing in mind there's a couple of different stages. So the first thing we're interested in, the image source. You create a new VM. That's where you want to make changes. That's where you're installing the OS, you're installing your applications, you're getting that ready to go.
Stick to the left hand, otherwise your voice won't
Okay.
down the recording.
I like walking around. I'll just jiggle my foot instead. So with the image source VM, that's where you want to make changes. That's where you're going to set up your initial image. From that, you create a desktop image object. That's what is going to be used when you provision your hosts. So those are the stages. You're creating your image, you're creating an image object, you're provisioning hosts from that image object. Now, the way you manage this within Nerdio, this is the Nerdio console for anybody who hasn't seen it before. It's a very straightforward process, right? We simplify this as much as possible. So you're going through these nice simple drop downs to choose your Windows image, if you want Windows 10, Windows 11, 365, whatever's available from the Azure Marketplace. You're then choosing the size of your VM, you're choosing if you want standard or premium disk. So all of those ones which you'll have planned out in advance. But what we can also do is leverage extra features from Azure. So security type. If you want confidential launch, trusted launch, simple drop down. If you want to use compute gallery across regions, again, nice simple drop down. What we can also do as part of this, though, is application deployment. So we hook into SCCM, Winget, Intune, and make all of those applications available from a simple drop-down. So you're just choosing from this list, I want the latest version of ABC on my image. You hit OK, Nerdio goes away, creates the image, installs the applications. So very straightforward process. The next step after this is the step that people who have dealt with AVD a lot can still find tricky: executing sysprep. Now, it should be a straightforward process, but it can be quite temperamental. So with Nerdio, we try and make that as simple as possible. It's, again, a case of selecting from drop-downs. I want to set his image, I want to create a backup of it, I want to put it off to other regions if needs be. Then clicking OK. Nerdio will go ahead and do that for you. It'll do the process of executing sysprep and making the image ready for a generalized state for use in your AVD environment. With one caveat. You do not want to execute sysprep multiple times on the same machine. It will break. It's just going to happen. So the way Nerdio does things, we never execute sysprep on that image. Instead, we clone that machine and execute sysprep on the clone. And that becomes important for what I'm going to talk about in a minute, how we can actually do this from a automated perspective. Because all of those, removing local counts, tidying up the machine, generalizing it, executing sysprep, is on the clone rather than your image source VM. Now, once we have that done, we can then use that image for creating host pools. This is the Nerdio interface where we actually create those host pools. Again, nice simple drop downs. We're choosing the type of host pool we want. If it's going to be remote app, multi-user, single user, and we choose the image that we've just created within Nerdio. So it's that simple. You're just using that. It will then it'll then create as many hosts as you need. So that's it from a manual perspective, right? But what we want to talk about is how we can then automate this process. Now, there's multiple ways, there's different ways to approach this, but the important thing to bear in mind is when you're making changes, you want to make those changes on your image source VM as early as possible. What that means is you're not executing changes here when you've got your host pool created on your live image. Now, I say you're not making changes. You may need to make some. You may need to do custom changes. You may need to do in-tune rollout. You need to enforce compliance. That's fine. That can all be done on your host images. But for updating your patches, updating your applications, you want to do that on your image source VM. The way we can do that with Nerdio is via scripted actions. So that's the automated way of doing things. Now, if you do need to use Windows Update for Business, that can still be incorporated, but as a secondary part to the scripted actions. What happens is you're updating your base image, so when you push it out, it's already compliant with Windows Update for Business. So that's how you can utilize that to make sure that that compliance is strict going forwards, but it's all been managed via automated scripting. Now, you can also do manual, which, let's be honest, sometimes it's unavoidable, but you want to keep it as minimal as possible. So what does that look like within Nerdio? We're back to the same interface. We've got our desktop image. We can then start executing a script on it. Nerdio ships with 70 plus different scripts for customizing the image and the environment, one of which is update script for Windows 11 or Windows 10, whatever your flavor is. You can schedule this to happen on a monthly basis. So you can see here you have the option, monthly, after Patch Tuesday, execute this script to update my image. So that process will happen without you having to do anything. You can then incorporate this into your regular cycle. You decide, how long do I need for UAT once this is updated? Do I need to do any other customizations after every Patch Tuesday? Once you're happy with that, you can then automate the sysprep piece. So we're doing our set as image process again, and remember, it'll execute this on the clone of the machine, but you do this for 2 days, 3 days after Patch Tuesday to build in that time for UAT. As part of this process, what you can also do is install the latest version of your applications. So you're also automating that. Every month when you push out Windows Update, make sure Chrome is up to date, Adobe's up to date, my own application is up to date. And it'll execute that regularly for you without you having to do anything. The final piece of that is pushing that out to the hosts. So you want to make sure your existing hosts are kept up to date with your new image. And again, automate the process. And you can do this for different times on your different host pools. You have a test host pool. You want to do that first, make sure you can approve the image, and then push it out to your general use host pool. But that is all about the automation again. So you can automate the re-imaging of each of your hosts on your own schedule. It's just a matter of choosing that image, which will have been updated and be ready to go. And you do this for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days after Patch Tuesday, whatever fits into your own cycle. So the upshot of that is this entire update process can then happen without user involvement, without you having to do after hours or over the weekend or whenever you get stuck with doing this. it'll do that for you, and all you need to do is just check the image and approve it. Just to recap, this is the actual process. So we're going down from that initial creation of the image, we're creating the source VM, configuring the applications, then we do the copy, we create our image VM, clean up, sysprep. That's your initial use. From then on, we're replacing all of that first section with our automations. So you're automatically pushing out the patches, automatically pushing out your application updates, copying it, re-imaging, pushing to compute gallery if you want, and that's pretty much it before time. Any questions around that process? It's nice and clear.
Lovely, thank you.
Good.